Okay, so the way that I am going to start working with modeling this character is I will start modeling the body first, the main torso. I will work my way up and down. So basically from the center of the torso or the chest region down through the lower abdomen, out through the arms, and then up through the head. I'll be starting off using a cube. I feel like it's a fairly simple way to go through this. There are other opportunities or other ways of modeling um, characters, and if you have me for advanced 3D or 3D modeling too, whatever they call it, um, 3344, you'll see some of the other ways that I go about it. But this is really just kind of a basic way of modeling, and it works to achieve what we're trying to do here for this extremely low res character. Okay, so I want to go ahead and go to the Create menu, go to Objects, Polygon Primitives, and I'm going to go to Cube. And so we have our front view and our side view. And actually, I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and just kind of have like a dual view essentially. I can drag and move this divider right here, where I only have my front view and my side view. So I think what I'm going to do for a few minutes is just kind of work with this. And I'm going to take that box and I'm going to move it up. So just like that. Also, I'm going to go ahead and go over to Shading and click on X-Ray. And I'll do that for the other viewport as well. And that way I can see my drawing through the the model that I'm working with. We also have an option for symmetry. So if you look here, you'll see where it says Symmetry Off. Symmetry allows me to work on objects on both sides at the same time, keeping the object essentially symmetrical. Now, Poddles here is supposed to be a symmetrical character. Now, granted, he was drawn by hand, so there is going to be asymmetry to that drawing, but the intent is for him to be symmetrical. So when we're modeling, what I would suggest is we're just going to pick a side, model that side, and then the mirroring should mirror it over to the other side. If it doesn't, we can delete and duplicate half of the body and then basically stitch up the center of the body to accommodate that and achieve a perfectly symmetrical model. One thing I do want to get across is, and make sure you guys understand this, we do not need to be modeling both sides of the body. We really just need to focus on one side and then copy over or have mirroring turned on so that we don't have to duplicate our efforts and take twice as long to model this character, especially one as basic as this. Now, if you're modeling a character that has a lot of asymmetry in the body or the design, yeah, you're going to want to model that. You're going to want to take the time and do both sides independently. But for something like this, we're just going to make sure we have symmetry turned on or duplicate it over. Alright, so what I want to do, let's go and zoom in. I'm going to right click and go to Vertex, and I'm going to do my Vertex selection. Okay? Let's make sure symmetry is turned on. I'm going to click Object X, and so you'll see with Object X turned on, it will basically move the vertexes for me, okay? Which is pretty cool. So it is a little bit off center. You can see here we're getting some extra width. I think I might bring it, no, we'll leave it like that. Okay, so I'm gonna go bring that up. Let's grab this vertex, bring that forward, bring this back, bring that forward, bring that back. And so what we have here essentially is a trapezoid. One thing I do want to go ahead and cut in is going to be a edge right here in the middle, okay? So with this vertex, that's going to be my center line to start adding roundness to that body. This is going to be the outermost point, at least for the roundness on the side of the body. So what I can do to kind of start working this roundness in is to pull back and then pull this a little bit forward. So we're going to kind of create that kind of like cone-like shape. I'm going to go and grab this vertex right here. Bring that around. And then bring that around. See what we're doing? So we're kind of adding a little bit of depth to this character, okay? Alright, so next thing we need to do, I need to go ahead and do an extrusion. Wow, look at that, we got an end gun right here. Let's fix this end gun real quick. So this is an end gun because it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 faces. Okay? So we need to fix that. There we go. So I just did a little multi-cut straight down, and we should be good. Alright, let's go to extrude. And let's make sure we're on the modeling toolbox. And so I'm going to go over to edit mesh, extrude. Bring that down. And I'm going to do this a few times actually. So I'm going to extrude down to about here. And then I'll go over to, let's go open that edit mesh again. I'm going to go to extrude again. Let's go back over to extrude. And I'm just going to kind of just stretch this all the way down to the body. Extrude again. Do that all the way down to the bottom. So basically where the groin is. Okay, so that's going to accommodate that region. And then I'm going to go ahead and start shaping. So I'm going to go and take this center vertex, which is going to be this one right here. Is going to be the one that is going to go directly on the butt. And just move that back. Then go up the back. Grab this one. Move that back. Grab the next one right here. Move that back. Then we're going to go on the belly. Right here. I'm going to grab that, move that forward. Move that forward. Move that forward. And then we will move this one. We'll just move this one up, right about there. Okay. So then we need to kind of go ahead and grab these vertexes and move them out and around. And I'm just kind of imagining how round of a body this guy has. We're going to run another edge down the side in a little bit. But I'm just trying to think of like how round and kind of plum shaped or, you know, pear shaped his body is. If we go to the front view right here, we can go ahead and grab these vertexes, kind of bring them out. And actually, we're probably going to bring this one up a little bit, and that's going to be where like the hips are going to be. So like the legs will come out right about here, and then you'll see the legs will come out on these faces right there. It'll make sense in a minute. Okay. All right. I'm going to grab these two faces right here. I'm going to go over to Edit Mesh, Extrude. I'm going to extrude that up. And we can go all the way to the base of the head. I'm going to show you another way of shaping. So with this all the way up to here, I want to go ahead and do a multi-cut. So that's going to be Mesh Tools, or you can use your hotbox menu right here, or the quick box. So we're doing front view, not front view, side view. Hotbox is very useful. Front view, right view. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to drop an edge loop right here, edge loop right there. Okay. And let's go over to vertexes. I'm going to go to my scale tool, this one right here, and I'm just going to scale them in. I'm going to grab these and scale these in. And so what's happening is we're just kind of creating we're just kind of working in it and just kind of shaping this object a little bit better. Let's go back over to our move tool. And then this right here, actually I want to bring this, let's bring this edge under the arm. This one's going to be right on top of the shoulder. Whoop. And the reason why I'm doing this is as we're making this mesh, I'm kind of like envisioning where the body parts are going to be lying. And so the arms are going to come out of here, so I'd like to have some clean faces for the arms to kind of like come out of. So it makes it just a little bit easier to work with. Let's look at this in our 3D view. One key thing about modeling is you have to switch your views constantly so that you can get a better idea of what's going on, okay? It helps you dramatically as an artist. Because really, at this point, you're more like a sculptor than you are a drawer. We're looking at this from different angles. We want to make sure we get the proportions right. That's really what we're trying to do here. So there's also, following the drawing, and then there's also following the intent of the drawing. So there might be some angles that we're not exactly capturing very well with this drawing. So we're just trying to, feel it out, get it to work. Okay, bring that back out a little bit. Yeah, I think we're getting there. Okay, let's do an edge on the sides. So I'm going to do a mesh tools, multi-cut. I'm going to hold shift as I'm putting multi-cut down, so this is control and shift. Control does the full loop, and then shift locks it to every 10%. So I'm going to do a 50% snap, and that's going to allow me to basically do the same thing I did when I put the loop in here on the front. Is I'm then going to go in and kind of move some of these in, and that's going to accentuate that curve on the sides. And bring these in. Bring that in. Bring that in. So we're just, as we're adding faces, we're creating more of a curve. This is very, very much a round little character. And so we're taking a cube, which is not a round shape, and we're creating a organic curved object, which is kind of cool. Let's check out the side view. All right, let's pull that in a little bit. Pull this one out a little bit more. I'll make that chest just a little bit broader. I'll make that right neck. There's like a sharpness to the neck, and that neck is not intended to be sharp. And in fact, maybe the vertexes on that neck need to be a little bit lower. And I need to flatten this edge loop around here. So I'm going to do an edge selection. I'm going to go to my scale tool, and this is a fun trick, is I can actually flatten this edge by using scale. And I'm just scaling it down, and that'll flatten it. And I can do the same thing right there. You don't have to do that with all of them. I'm just doing it on some of these limbs, like the neck. I'm going to go back to vertex, and let's go back over to the move tool right here. Remember, you can hit hotkeys W, E, and R for move, rotate, and scale, or move, scale, rotate. Okay, so for the head, it's kind of like a balloon shape. So I'm going to go ahead and grab these faces, and I'm going to go over to extrude. And I'm actually, the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to be using the scale tool to kind of balloon this out. So I'm going to turn off my symmetry real quick. And you'll see that the movement pivot changes to the center of that selection, which is good. That's what I'm looking for. So I want to scale that out. I'm going to hit W or go back to the move tool. I'm just using move. Going back to scale, scaling it in. And then let's go back over to extrude. All right, move that up. Scale this out. Extrude again. Click move, move it up. I'm going to go up above where the eyeball is. And then I'm going to go back over to scale. Let's go back over to extrude. Bring that up. Scale that in. And then I'm going to move that back a little bit because the head has a little bit of a backward swoop to it. Grab this edge loop right here. I'm just going to kind of grab it, move it back, move that back. And I feel like there's like I'm going to rotate this just a little bit. And then these vertexes, I want to rotate these just a little bit too. I'm just kind of looking at like the flow of the head. So we kind of just need to rotate it back just a hair. I'll take this one. Let's actually go take this, move this down. Just kind of adjusting as I'm going. I'm looking at where those edges are hitting. Okay. Let's check the width on the front. And that's not terrible. It's a little wide. Let's go turn our symmetry back on. Object X. And I'm going to bring that back over. What side were we doing? We were doing, yeah, right side. Okay. that's in the back. Okay, we're fine. That little center one right here, I'm going to move that just a smidge up, just to the top. Okay. Alright, let's check it out, see how we're doing. That's not bad. Pretty low res, but that's not bad at all. Alright, a couple things. I want to add a little bit of curve down here, so I'm going to move this vertex up. This one on the back of the butt area, I'm going to move that up. Move that up, move that up. That's going to be where the hips are, so I'm going to move this up too. Actually, I'm going to take these vertexes, I'm going to move them in. So this will be essentially going through the groin. And then the legs will be coming out of these faces right here. And the reason why I'm doing this is I'm just kind of following like general anatomy for animation. Hips usually come out a little bit of an angle, or we don't usually have hips that come, you know, directly out of the bottom of your body. Usually the hips have a little bit of an angle to them. So for this, I'm going to essentially be recreating that kind of anatomical feature. But yeah, that looks pretty okay. Let's just go and do the legs. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and grab these faces right here. Let's do extrude. I'm going to kind of bring them in just a little bit. So I'm shrinking that in. And then I'm going to grab my rotate tool. I'll rotate that angle. Go to my move. And just kind of move that down. Okay. And I'm going to set up this silhouette for the legs before I really go in too much further, because I want to make sure my legs are like nice and round. And if I don't kind of do this right now, it's going to kind of run into an issue where the legs aren't round. And they're just going to look really weird. You're going to have to basically go in and fix it, and it doesn't work out very well that way. So let's do it. Set up this profile here. Just go ahead and scale these faces flat, just like that. And then we'll go and extrude. Go to move. Okay, let's look at the front view. Okay, there we are. So we're right at about the ankle. I'll do another extrusion. Bring that down to about where the foot is. Let's check the side view. Okay, looks about right. We're gonna go ahead and shape the legs and the hips and the bottom belly quite a bit. So let's go to a vertex view. And bring this back. Bring that forward. Bring that a little bit forward. I'll bring that part of the groin a bit more forward. Bring that part of the belly down. Bring this part of the groin a little bit further down. Bring that down. Okay. Just trying to, again, capture that kind of round quality, that pear shape of the body. Let's go into our front view. Bring this all down right about there. So that's gonna fit right in that area. Okay, that groin is good. Just kind of get that curve right there in the middle of the legs, and then get that on the outer edge. And we'll go and throw in a couple more edge loops right down here. So let's go under Mesh Tools, Multi-Cut, and I'm going to go and throw in, let's do one edge loop at the knee, one edge loop kind of lower on the calf, and then one on the upper thigh. And we'll just kind of work on sculpting these guys. Let's head over to our 3D view. See, it's kind of looking like real pillarish. Need to kind of play with that shape a little bit more. So let's jump back over to, actually that works pretty well. So that right there. I'm just going to kind of shrink these. Shrink these legs in. Let's grab, there we go, got that one. And I got my legs drawn a little bit forward. I'm going to keep them centered and just kind of sitting here in the back, or sitting like directly under the body. So I think that'll work just fine. For the feet, let's go and bring that a little bit more forward. Bring that a little more forward. Okay. Let's go and grab the that's looking a little wonky. Hang on one second, let's fix this because this is looking a little wonky. Alright, I'm gonna grab that vertex, move that over, because we basically have like a defined front face for the legs at this point. So something like that. I'm just going to move this forward. And if you haven't figured it out, yeah, organic character modeling is a lot of tweaking. And that's just kind of part of the game, as we're just kind of tweaking constantly, looking at different views. Just kind of moving through this. Alright, so let's grab this face right here. I'm going to go over to extrude, move that forward. And let's go back to our move tool, because that's going to kind of at an angle for us. And then I want to go and do a edit mesh, or mesh tools multi-cut, and run. Let's get that multi-cut back in there. Where is it? There we go. Alright, get that guy right there, get that guy there. So that's gonna give us basic vertexes that we can put in for the arch, the slope, and then the crest of the foot, or the tip of the toe of the foot. Let's go and grab those vertexes right here, move them up. These right here need to move somewhere right about there. These guys are going to go up to there. These are going here. And then there's a fatness to the toe that I've drawn in. So I'm going to grab these vertexes in the foot and kind of just work that fatness in there. And kind of that roundness where I guess if it was a shoe, that'd be like where the toes or the width of your foot is basically sitting. The heel, I'm going to bring these closer together. And bring that in just a little bit. Bring this in a little bit more for the heel. And I'm just kind of working the vertexes to round out and accentuate the legs. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and do the arms. We'll go actually stop the video, and then the next video we'll do arms.